And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 3. The Chain Stack taking on Rising Stars. And I'll tell you what, man, the wins sure do stack up if you're the Chain Stack. They got past a very downtrodden For Love team in the initial round. So they're already kind of telling a Cinderella story of their own, taking on Rising Stars, who beat Myth Trust in the initial round here of Phase 2 as well. And the Chain Stack, man, again, stacking them wins. They put together 2 wins to get past For Love, and now looking to blank Rising Stars if they can put together another win. And not gonna lie, of all the teams I've watched so far, and this is not an exaggeration, we've seen some quality teams. Rattlesnake was impressive earlier today. MUFC, of course, taking their exit due to Rattlesnake. But aside from that, still a very good team. A lot of other talented teams in the field. But the Chain Stack in Game 1 honestly looked better at 2 things. Not going to say overall comprehensively they looked like the best team in the field, but they looked so much better in their communication, in their execution, and in their ability to synergize their heroes and make the abilities come off together in the right way. Their ability to put together those chains of initiation, those chains of spells to maximize their team fight potential. And it was really just an impressive thing to see. Rising Stars, they had a few flubs as well. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. The Chain Stack had a bit of help. And poor Mofi just had Mofi, however it's pronounced, had a really bad game. Don't know the guy, first time ever broadcasting him, but he did struggle. Not going to lay it all on him, though. There was a couple of clutch Chronospheres, or at least one in particular, that came up wide. And overall, just some of the decision-making on the entire team, a little bit lacking in comparison to the Chain Stack, which really seemed to be operating on the exact same gestalt of what was going on across the map. And really just rolling up a very impressive game number 1 on the heels of a well-farmed Anti-Mage. And looks like hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. Go back to the well if the well water's good. Anti-Mage, our first pick up, followed by a Darkseer. Nyx Assassin, the first pick out of Rising Stars. So take a look at the bans. The Shadow Demon ban out by Rising Stars, I don't mind that one little bit, given how confounding a Shadow Demon can be in just about any situation, be it the early laning phase, all the way into the mid game and on into the late game. However, he is one of the better counters to an Anti-Mage. An Anti-Mage that, unless things unless the wheels come off the wagon super early on, an Anti-Mage is going to find his farm. I mean, even if he has a really bad start, if the game drags on past 35 minutes, Anti-Mage is going to get his items and be a force on the map. And Shadow Demon, with his ability to disrupt the Anti-Mage, get a couple of Anti-Mage illusions banging away on the man himself, can be a big way to counter that. But banning them out, they're not going to have that to draw upon. Banned out the Magnus as well. Said, you know what? We didn't like the way Game 1 felt with Magnus, and we're not going to give him away either. The Lifestealer as well as the Bad Rider banned out by the Chains Stack. So giving away the Nyx Assassin, not something you'll see most teams do when they're in the dire side position. Just, I mean, again, the 2 most typical bans you're going to see at this stage, without a doubt, are the Bad Rider and the Nyx Assassin, just because you can build teams around them very easily. And that's kind of the challenge. If you ask any professional player or anyone who plays competitive Dota or any similar game, to be honest, in a situation like this where it goes 1-2, where you get first pick but you only pick 1 hero, then the other team gets to pick 2 in response, it can be challenging to not just get a high-value hero, but a hero that is worth that initial pick, knowing that the other team's going to be able to counter him. Nyx Assassin doesn't really have a hard counter, to be completely honest. He's a fantastic hero, knows how to start fights, knows how to pour on a lot of single-target DPS, and Carapace gives him a lot of leeway. Bat Rider, the exact same situation. He's very survivable. Once he gets a Blink Dagger and a Force Staff up, he, by himself, can change the entire way a game flows. So, anyway, the Nyx Assassin going to be combined with the Keeper of the Light and the Queen of Pain, Rising Stars. Liking that Queen of Pain pick, can't say I minded too much. They're going to have a lot of magic damage once again. They're going to have 2 gigantic AoE magic spells, and I really love the Rubik pickup in response to that. Nyx Assassin does a little bit of mixed damage in terms of his single target DPS, but Rubik with his null field, just absolutely a great pickup in response to that, not to mention how strong he is in a tri-lane, be it defensively or offensively. And I've actually had this conversation, or touched on this a bit in one of my previous games whenever I saw this happen. Shadow Demon, as we already saw, how highly valued he was to be banned out first by Rising Stars. He and Rubik are very similar in a lot of regards, in that both of those heroes are more traditionally known as defensive heroes. They're heroes that make it very hard to engage confidently into a tower or into a squad that is together and ready to fight. Telekinesis and Disruption both serve essentially the same purpose, to take someone out of a fight just long enough to allow you to get superior positioning. And, I mean, yeah, you can talk about the other things that come off of them, but generally that's the idea. But they can also be played extremely aggressively. A Force Staff on either of them, a Blink Dagger on either of them. Usually you won't see a Blink Dagger on a Shadow Demon. I've seen it once before, but it is not common. Force Staff, though, is fairly common. And Rubik, I've seen Blink Daggers come out on, honestly, just about more often than not. And I love that approach to the hero because early on in the laning phase, you get the defensive capabilities you need, especially if you're running a carry like an Anti-Mage who needs to be protected, who needs to have a feeling of safety, no matter what you anticipate out of the enemy. And then once Rubik, even before the blink comes out, if let's say that Rising Stars utterly dodges the tri-lane of Chain Stack, which I think is very likely, given their pickups. Nyx Assassin and Keeper of the Light are great heroes in a tri-lane, but both of them usually want a defensive tri-lane. Basically a Keeper of the Light in a offensive tri-lane just is going to have trouble controlling the jungle the way he needs to in order to land his Illuminates without completely pushing the lane and without completely screwing his carry or the person who's going to be trying to farm. So I suspect what they're going to do is run that Clockwork that they just picked up in the off lane. And that's going to free up Rubik plus whatever other support they pick up to leave the Anti-Mage one-on-one. Anti-Mage will have no problem against a Clockwork. And then we'll get to see Rubik stretch his legs in a more aggressive way. And that's one of the things that I think has made Shadow Demon and Rubik over time become these extremely solid picks that are often prioritized in the first 6, if not the first few picks entirely, because they have that ability to fall back and play calmly, or you can decide to ramp it up and just rely on movements and their inherent skill set to open the map up for you via ganks and via the ability to get single picks that can often lead to tower pushes. Taking a look at the bans, Lone Druid, Brewmaster, hold on. How about we talk about the pick? Dragon Knight comes out from Chain Stack. And I really like what they're doing because they're doing the same thing again, basically. They're going to be running 2 carries in this lineup. They ran Gyrocopter last time in an offensive tri-lane, left the Anti-Mage in a solo lane. Offensive tri-lane with Dragon Knight would be a risky proposition. What I suspect we're going to see instead is going to be a Dragon Knight against Queen of Pain. And, yeah, I mean, I'm actually a little curious now how they're going to run this. They might run an offensive tri-lane with Storm Spirit, Keeper of the Light, Nyx Assassin, or they may run a safe lane Storm Spirit and then Clockwork Keeper and Nyx Assassin in the offensive tri-lane. That seems a bit more plausible. But again, Keeper of the Light does not really excel in that situation. The pressure's gonna be on to execute if that's what they do. The Chain Stack could run Darkseer, Dragon Knight, or hell, they could even run Anti-Mage mid if they really wanted to. They could run all 4 of those heroes mid. All 4 of them have showed up mid in professional play before. So they're very versatile. I'm leaning towards a Dragon Knight mid with Anti-Mage protected by a Rubik plus whatever support they pick up here. Jakiro's around. I really wouldn't mind a Jakiro pick at all, especially with the Shadow Demon out. A Jakiro pick, hell, even a Venomancer. Venomancer plus Rubik is dangerous as hell, by the way. Venomancer has not seen professional play the way he did before and during the International too. He's fallen off quite a bit as a hero. But a Venomancer pickup in this situation, if they are anticipating an offensive tri-lane, I think it'd work for them in a big, big way. What's going to be ultra important for them, though, if it is an offensive tri-lane coming out of Rising Stars, is they're going to have to control the dire side jungle. And it is a little bit easier, if you're a Keeper of the Light, to get into a position to land Illuminates through the trees and hit opponents under their own tier 1 whenever you are tri-laning into the dire side. It's just a little bit easier to execute, a little safer to execute as compared to the Radiant side. They could still very easily just safe lane farm this Storm Spirit too, though.
10 Lina.
And they're going to go ahead and pick up the Lina. Same kind of thing. I mean, Lina's a poor man's Leshrac, basically. Has a little bit more single target DPS as opposed to AoE DPS. But I'd say that pretty much rounds out their tri-lane. And I would imagine it's going to be a pretty cookie-cutter way that they're going to be looking to lane this out, with the Anti-Mage farming out of the tri-lane protected by the Rubik and the Lina Darkseer, likely to end up in the long lane with Dragon Knight mid. Storm Spirit is going to be farming one way or the other. And if they anticipate a Darkseer, they may just go ahead and solo safe lane the Storm Spirit. Clockwork, Keeper of the Light, Nyx Assassin can work as an offensive tri lane, especially against some mana-hungry heroes like Lina, Rubik, and Anti-Mage. Cogs early on can really cause some problems if you're able to execute. But we'll wait for the lanes to take shape. While we do, let's see. I'll go ahead and run through the lineups. I should be able to get through them pretty quickly. Keeper of the Light going to be handled by Super. We're going to have Queen of Pain. Played for the second game in a row by Air. Air had a pretty solid game in game 1. Just really, Again, unable to make it come together along with his team. Nyx Assassin going to be played by XDD, another player who had a solid game in Game 1, playing as our Windrunner. Moffy this time going to be looking to turn his fortunes around, hoping to play a little bit better clockwork than he did Magnus in Game 1. And Zhao Tuji, once again in the farming position, will be farming up our Storm Spirit. He is moving to the bottom, so it will most likely be a defensive tri-lane, so they are just going to dodge this tri-lane of Chain Stack. Speaking of Chain Stack, we got the Captain Risk, the Ayesee, playing on our Great Crusader, our little Darkseer. Going to have Minerva handling our Rubik this time around. Darkseer, or excuse me, DK, I should say. And his sexy, schnazzy piece of armor will be played by Johnny. And it's the first time I've actually ever seen this. Actually seen it in a game. The ultra sexy Lena with her fantastic set that costs quite a bit of money. But to tell you the truth, now I want to buy it. This is the first time I've actually seen it in game for myself. Absolutely beautiful set. But anyway, back to business. That's going to be handled by Legendary. Legendary, my MVP from Game 1. Make no mistake about it. The guy was just playing excellent Dota from bell to bell, basically. And Chains, once again, going to be farming the Animage. No reason not to go back to that well, my friend. So, the way the lanes are shaping up, yeah, it looks like, yeah, they are just going to dodge each other's tri-lane, I do believe. Risk might just sack bottom lane entirely and go into the jungle. And yeah, looks like that's what he's going to do. Pretty solid way to play. But with these two heroes being what they are, and given it's going to be a clockwork up against an Animage, they're probably just going to try to zone this clock out. They're going to try for a first blood. And already the auto attacks are there. Telekinesis is going to be there as well. Down go the cogs. A little bit of mana eaten up. They're going to telekinesis him right back into the cogs. But the follow-up, Light Striker Ray. Here comes Animage. One auto attack, and they get enough. Moffy finds his grave over in the woods. First blood given the Chains, and I'll tell you one thing. First blood in less than a minute, bad enough. First blood in less than a minute to an Animage, that's problematic. Chains continues to roll with his momentum from Game 1, and off to a great start here in Game number 2. What I was going to say is, if they're able to zone Clockwork out long enough to keep him, I mean, and obviously he doesn't have a single point of experience yet, if they can get Chains far enough ahead, they'll be able to abandon this tri-lane and go start applying pressure elsewhere. And it comes down to what I was talking about in the draft. The fact that those heroes in particular have the ability to do that. Air should be doing quite well here. It will be the Dragon Knight in mid. And we'll see how Dragon Knight wants to skill this. I'm a little surprised he didn't put his first point in the Dragon's Blood. Dragon's Blood helps out so much in situations like this. The bonus armor and the bonus regen makes a big deal. And one of my favorite ways to build a Dragon Knight, or to see a Dragon Knight built skill-wise in a situation like this, is to go either Breathe Fire or Dragon's Blood first. Basically, you get 2 points into Breathe Fire and Dragon's Blood just to guarantee you have Sustain. 1 point in the Dragon Tail, and then 1 into your ultimate. At that point, you max Breathe Fire. And you have the AoE potential as well, as a little bit of extra survivability. A little pre-runing being done, or excuse me, post-runing, I should say. Here is going to find himself a haste rune now. That's going to make life a little bit more difficult for Johnny. And now Clockwork going to be spotted out again. Wow, they actually are going to double back here. Trying not to pull the creeps, but thought they might engage. Instead, just trying to zone him out as best they can. This bottom tri-lane going unimpeded, so Storm Spirit going to have the start that he wants. Light Striker Ray going to be off the mark. Cogs are going to go down, and that's one thing that Clockworks can do over and over again that is so irritating. Just makes it so hard to catch up with them. Risk doing his thing, jungling it up. And what's going to be interesting to see out of Rising Stars is how long they permit this Tier 1 tower to stand. Storm Spirit on top of the board in CS, doing a great job sitting at 19. And I'll tell you what, now that I think about it, I was asked by one of the chat viewers during our downtime who I thought the most underutilized hero in Dota was. At least right now, based on the current metagame and current trends. And I said that I was surprised at the time that Tidehunter had fallen off as much as he had. I'm not going to go through my explanation, but that was my answer. Now that I think about it, I actually think it's Storm Spirit. A Storm Spirit that gets some early farm like this is able to get up 2 core items in particular. A Orchid Malevolence that comes out quickly, followed by a BKB. That is terrifying. And I do mean terrifying. It doesn't matter who you are. And especially an Animage is going to have trouble against that, because Animage relies so much on being able to blink out of trouble. But whenever you have an Orchid up, and the reach, just the pure out-and-out reach that a Storm Spirit gives you, you're not safe. He's able to come from absolutely nowhere, able to hit you, disable you with Vortex, orchid you while you're in the Vortex, and then you're not going anywhere. Where are you going? Nowhere. And that's a really good way to counter not just Animage, but just about any hero that is going to be relying on some escape mechanism like that. Phantom Lancer, you want to counter a Phantom Lancer? You want to keep Phantom Lancer off a farm? Draft a Storm Spirit and give him tri-lane. Or draft him against a hero that can't really hang with him in mid. Speaking of mid, we got two heroes here, and here we go. There. Oh, wow. Legendary. Actually made a big mistake there. That was big. Oh, wow. Poor Clockwork. Dies for the second time, and once again, Animage gets a kill. Animage not farming as well as Storm, but has 2 kills, and that more than makes up for it. Legendary, my Game 1 MVP, actually kind of screwed the pooch there. Auto-attack revealed himself, and there's no way that any professional Dota player or player as good as Air is going to fail to blink away and react to that in time. So, missed opportunity in mid, but they capitalize on another opportunity in bottom. And we'll keep an eye on exactly what direction our Storm Spirit wants to go in. But for now, the tri-lanes do remain intact. Both teams jungling up, finding their farm. One of the things that is so fun about Keeper of the Light and so miserable if you're on the other team is he will find his farm. Illuminate allows him to just do things in the jungle that no supports should be able to, as we can already see, not to mention the strength of Chakra. Storm, sitting at just short of level 6. Don't think he's going to look to move out right at level 6, though. Given the status quo, I think he would be quite happy to farm himself up a bit more. Get himself moving in a bit of a better direction. The ability for them to gank is there. Make no mistake about it. Queen of Pain, Nyx Assassin, the reach of a Clockwork. And I'd say that really sums up Rising Stars draft, by the way, is reach. They have a massive amount of mobility. The reach and the initiation of Storm Spirit, the reach and the initiation of Clockwork, Nyx Assassin's ability to sneak behind enemy lines via Vendetta, and the pure mobility of Queen of Pain. Not to mention Keeper of the Light. And one of the most underestimated aspects of Keeper of the Light, and this just comes from talking to so many professional players, is what of all the things that Keeper does well and that they feel might need to be changed to bring the hero back in line. And this is obviously not ubiquitous. This is not a shared opinion everywhere. But most North American European players in particular will tell you that Chakra, really strong, Illuminate strong, whatever. His old Blinding Light is actually absurdly strong at all stages of the game. But it's his ability to teleport heroes back from the well and into a fight. If Keeper's ult basically allows you to buy an Aegis. And what I mean by that is, if Keeper's in the back of a fight, as he should be, and it's a team fight and you lose your carry, and that carry has buyback, he can buy back immediately and be teleported back to the fight immediately by Keeper of the Light. So in essence, for the cost of a carry's buyback, he's able to buy himself an Aegis and get back into any given fight so long as the Keeper is in a safe position. That is what most professional players really feel is overpowered, if anything, about Keeper of the Light in particular. So now we are beginning to see Chain Stack move around. I anticipated this. Obviously, Chains himself doing an excellent job. Not going to need too much more help. DK with some buddies behind him. And I'll tell you something that's kind of surprised me that I have not seen utilized hardly at all in a lot of these games is there's just been a lack of mid-pulling and mid-stacking in the Asia qualifier for the most part. Especially in comparison to the Western scene. That's something that is just done in every game, if at all possible. And just not being done, for the most part here, in the G1 League so far. If you're just tuning in, we're 8 minutes into Game 2 of this best of 3 between Chain Stack and Rising Stars. 2-0 the lead, Chain Stack giving both of those kills to Animage, who is off to a good start. But so is our Storm Spirit, once again. And he is going to be going right up for that Orchid Malevolence, has his first Oblivion Staff ready to roll. And really, Oblivion Staff, just the Oblivion Staff itself is a strong item to help Storm at this stage of the game. And Minerva, still under cover of smoke, Legendary not so fortunate. That Tier 1 dropped quite some time ago, the only tower down. And both teams quite happy for the moment to just try to find edges where they can. Chains farming the jungle, while Mafi finally getting to play catch-up some. He's level 4 now. eating up a lot of experience, getting a little bit of gold in his pocket. Arc boots are done on Nyx Assassin. He's not quite 6 yet. I expect 6 will be the moment that they decide to maybe start moving around a bit more than they have. And now, chain stack. Moving up top. See 3 there. And they may well decide to go ahead and try to push this tier 1. Nyx Assassin Keeper. Hanging out, sharing mana like broskies. Lovers share toothbrushes, and broskies share mana. Still a very quiet game, other than poor Clockwork, who's been sent back to the well the hard way. Hold up. Johnny is going to be picked off in mid. Was going to just saying it was a very quiet game. Finally, they're able to get themselves a kill. Clockwork, though, the return kill at top. And once again, that's a kill for Animage. That's a killing spree for him. This tier 1 going to be the target. Tier 1 mid going to be the return target for Rising Stars. Glyphs will be used. No glyph on the tier 1 yet. Our Nyx Assassin has made his way up. Now here comes another one. He's going to be under cover of Vendetta. Who's going to be the target? Chooses Animage, but the follow-up stuns. And the Carapace is up. Mana Void does nothing to air. And Chains might end up dead. He will. So Rising Stars gets a very high value return kill. They're unable to save the tower, but they do deny it. So all things told, not that bad. Rising Stars in a span of about 2 minutes, able to close the gap a little bit, make it 2-3, and kill off the Animage that had been off to a great start. 1,500 gold, 500 experience now in favor of Rising Stars, which is definitely worth mentioning. Chain stack does lead 3-2, but nice turnaround for them right there. Risk on his way to a mech, has his buckler done now. And only about 500 gold, 550 gold, give or take, away from completing that mech. Great item for them if they want to start to fight early. And with this lineup they do, here we go. There's that reach of the Storm Spirit. I talked about it during the draft. That's what a Storm Spirit does for you. And that's without an Orchid. You just cannot be standing anywhere without vision when there's a Storm Spirit on the map and he's unaccounted for. Dragon Knight is having a rough game. DK sitting at 0-2, 0-3 for Clockwork, but DK's a mid hero. You give a hero mid, even if it's a not necessarily advantageous mid matchup, like a DK versus a Queen of Pain, you still expect that to come out okay. You may not get the best farm in the world, but you want experience, and you certainly don't want to be dying. Not the case here, though, as Rising Stars applying pressure where they can and doing a great job of it. Now, chain stack, looking to turn things around. Here's going to be the target. Nope, no telekinesis. Minerva a little late to pull the trigger. Legendary and Risk still hanging out in the jungle. The rest of Rising Stars has rotated down to their own jungle for the most part. Moffy now soaking up experience, looking to get to level 6 so it have Hook. Oh, wow. Chain's actually built a Vanguard. It has been a long time since I've seen a Vanguard first Animage. That's really surprising to me. That is really, really almost dumbfounding to me. Why would you go Vanguard? I'm not sure I understand why. I mean, obviously it comes out quicker than Battle Fury. That's fine. But the laning phase went fairly well for you. Yeah, your DK had a rough time of it. But your Darkseer jungled. He's going to have a mech. Storm Spirit's only about 100 gold away from his Orchid right now. And they're under cover of smoke. If they can get a pick here, it'll be huge. Air spots them out. Here we go. Nyx Assassin with Vendetta. There's the... Oh, telekinesis on XDD. They mistime it, though. Not the best communication that time. And Chain Stack feeling a little out of sorts. They're going to catch Zhao Tucci, though. Can they clean him up? They can. Down he goes. Mana Void helps clean the shop. And Chains, the namesake of his team, looking to chase them down. Actually thought about blinking, but thought better of it. That's a clutch kill for them. That is a very clutch kill for them. That's going to delay the Orchid, albeit just a little while. I'm actually surprised they didn't just wait on the Orchid or the Storm Spirit. I'm not sure why you wouldn't wait on that item. But, pretty much, this game going to be in the hands of Chains. He has gone an ultra mid-game centric build, getting Vanguard treads and Aqualay up. Not going to be building any sort of a Battle Fury, most likely. Instead, probably going to get something like a Yasha Manta next, if one had to guess. He's got 1,000 gold towards it. Pick up his Blade of Alacrity now if he wanted to. Poor DK he is po' boy. He's a po' boy. sitting at 2,800 net worth. Not where you want to be. Even though it wasn't the best matchup for you mid, you still want to be in a much better situation than that by now. Mech done on risks, certainly a helpful item if they want to fight early. And we can see the supports, well, hell, not just the supports, poor DK as well, trying to find ways to tank up. The guy's added a bracer to his inventory. He could go drums if he really wanted to, but he has a casual cloak as well, so maybe looking to do kind of a creative build. I've actually seen Dragon Knights do that before as well. Get up a pipe and just rely on the damage that's inherent to breathe fire, as well as their dragon form, to carry them through. They'll do that just to try and extend the game, to free things up a bit for the other supports to grab other items, and then they'll switch to something like an Assault Cuirass and play almost like a, not necessarily a carry, but a kind of a bruiser. And now Chains, oh, great hook. They're going to be able to lock him. No, actually the cogs are outside. Risk's going to bounce off of it. He uses the mech, and Chains is ready to fight. The rest of them bounce out, though, and here we go. Sonic Wave going to catch two from behind. They eat a lot of damage. The rest are falling back. Vacuum pulls super back. The team of Chains is just so tanky. Down go the cogs. Oh, that is so maddening. Oh, my goodness. That is so infuriating. Great play by Mafi. But we can already see the decision to play mid-game centric from Chains paid off big time there. They just could not bring him down fast enough. And the inherent takiness of Risk and Johnny able to bail them out against the burst damage that was coming out of Queen of Pain. So they take another win. They're now doubling their opponents up 6-3. We look at the gold, we can see it's about 1,500. The experience, though, moving definitively into the direction of Chain Stack. And I reckon I should qualify this. Risk is actually the captain of Chain Stack. But Chains, I'm going to guess it's his stack, but he's not the captain of his stack. You get what I'm saying? I think I'm almost positive I actually labeled Chains as captain a moment ago, and it just occurred to me.
Dire's middle tower.
Moving on, though. Right now, things really looking good for Chain Stack for the second game in a row. And I can tell you what's beginning to happen, and this is an easy trap to fall into. I really hope Rising Stars doesn't allow it to happen. Mafi, Zhao Tuji, as well as XDD on the Nyx Assassin. These three heroes should be having a huge influence on the map right now. We should be feeling them and seeing them every time there's an engagement, every time there's movement. And so far, I'm not. And it's reaching that point where this should be their wheelhouse. This should be where they feel comfortable and where those heroes in particular hit their stride. And if they don't, then they're going to end up falling behind and not catching up. TP reaction comes in. Let's see if they're going to be able to catch them. Mafi hanging back. The rest are going to fall back here. And here comes Risk, just going to YOLO. It gets two with him. Two with the vacuum. There's the ulti. Down go the cogs, though. Can they fight around these cogs? Going to be tough. There's a lot of damage comes out at once. But XDD able to interrupt things with the impel. Poor Mafi left behind. And that's a 3 for an ill trade. That was actually really ballsy for them to go through this narrow pass here, right where the cogs were, and try to fight that. That was really ballsy. And they made it work for them. But I think that's just a testament to how far ahead they actually are. And you know, it's been a long time since I've seen some mid-game anti-mages in the last 2 or 3 months, but I have not seen a Vanguard first anti-mage in a long time. And they're making it work. Now they might want to counter-engage. Chains up. Now they're going to catch Johnny. Johnny forced to run, and here comes Storm Spirit. Who's the target? Nobody's the target. Apparently he ran out of gas. Had plenty of mana. I'm not sure why he didn't grab someone. There's a hook that hit nothing. I'm going to guess that probably hit super. The execution on Rising Stars, to put it kindly, is just not there. They're lacking in execution in a big way. And to be honest, Chain Stack is not even executing that solidly either. It is not some very tight team fights they're taking. Compared to Game 1 anyway. Game 1, they looked beautiful. Oh my goodness, that was a great game of Dota. But Rising Stars, I mean, again, I said it and I'll say it again just because I feel it's relevant. I have not felt the influence of a Clockwork, a Nyx Assassin, and a Storm Spirit. Storm looked like a Storm Spirit when he ganked out the Dragon Knight in mid, and since then, he got his Orchid and has been a non-factor. Mech almost done on Super now. I want to shout out to Charlie Yang, by the way. For the longest time, I called Mechanism Mex whenever I abbreviated. I don't know why. It annoyed many people. But I don't think I've done it once today because he reminded me of it the other night. And I feel like I may have turned the corner with that particular problem. But anyway. 3-9. And everything going the way of Chain Stack now. The gold and the experience don't really tell the story. Because with a build like this on Animage, he's going all in on the fact that he can win fights here. But this is, and when I say here, I mean in the mid game. We're just about to hit 20 minutes, I should say. And Johnny had a horrible start. Johnny had a rough game. So that was one thing that Rising Stars had going for them. And Storm Spirit had an excellent start. His Orchid Malevolence has been up forever. And I've yet to just really see it used effectively. We're going to have another pause that'll let me finish my thought. But whenever you force a situation where an Animage goes this defensive build, goes this mid-game build, and it's into a team that is almost entirely predicated on being able to succeed in the mid-game. Queen of Pain, Nyx Assassin, Storm Spirit, Keeper of the Light, heroes that do not scale all that great into the late game. I mean, Queen of Pain does an okay job. Blinding Light out of Keeper of the Light is solid through the entire game. The initiation potential on a Storm Spirit is always good, as is a Clockwork. But so far, it's just like being able to go, okay, it's 50 minutes in, we farmed okay, and now we can just go do damage. They don't really have that confidently. They have a lot of heroes who would want to build a BKB on the other side. And this is when they need to be succeeding. And that's why the harangue I'm on is in relation to the gold and the experience. The gold and the experience doesn't really tell you how far ahead Chain Stack actually is. Looks like we're going to have a bit of a pause for lag, but in the meantime, hope you guys are enjoying the show. And I'll take a look at the chat while I can. But let's see, where we at? If you want to ask questions, feel free. It'll be on a 2-minute delay, so I may not get to them before we resume. But that's going to be my new policy. When we have a long pause, I'm just going to say ask questions, and if the pause is still going on in 2 minutes, by the time the delay catches up, I will talk to you, and I will answer your questions. It'll be like a rain delay. It doesn't look like it's going to be the case here, as the G comes out. Gives me just enough time to take a sip of my beverage, wet my chops, and get ready to continue with the second bit of this best of 3. Game 2, looking to be in control of Chain Stack. Drums were the choice out of Johnny. I feel like that's a solid choice given how bad of a start he had. And that's a trap that even professional players, and I see a lot of lower level players fall into, is you know that in a perfect world you'd have a great game and hold on. Nyx Assassin spots 2 supports, 2 squishies. Sentry goes down, though, and there's the telekinesis. Risk is there, but here comes the whole team. They're going to bring him down. Air hits the Sonic Wave. Here comes Storm Spirit late to the party. Tardy to the party and forced to back out. Cogs are down. And, okay. What is Storm Spirit doing? Super being pursued by chains. Storm Spirit's blown his whole mana pool, retreating now. He went into that fight and then ran away. Storm Spirit is a zeitgeist hero. Storm Spirit is a turn it around kind of a hero. And that's a situation where you can turn that fight in favor of your team. Instead, Super, being cheeky as hell, he will be picked off, delayed it as long as he could. I'm just a little dumbfounded, really. That was a fight they were committed to. And you pick a Storm Spirit so you can go into fights and turn them. You want to start fights on your own terms, but in a situation like that, you either don't, you tell your team not to go, and then you just say, well, that's a dead Nyx Assassin. No problem. We'll just go defend the tower until he respawns. Or you say go and you do something. You do something and actually isolate a hero, make something happen. But that great start has, by and large, and I really do hate to, I'm not trying to sound negative, but it's the truth. You can't give Tri-Lane Farm and that much attention to a Storm Spirit and not have that Storm Spirit execute. You just can't. It's gonna put you in a situation like they're in. 12-3, losing map control. They've lost 3 towers now. 22 minutes into this game, the gold and the experience both moving sharply in favor of Chain Stack now. And they're going to try and turn it around by a gank on Animage. All right. Come on, Xiaotuji. Show me something great, man. Show me a good play. Show me a good play. Show me a kiss on the cheek. Show me running away. Show me you have an Orc of Malevolence. Okay. And, okay. Now, what is happening? What is going on in this game? Air's chased out. I don't know, man.
I'm over here.
That's a dead Queen of Pain. It's 3-13 now. And they had the drop on chains. Moving on. 23 minutes in, and Chain Stack looking sharp, man. Executing well, not as well as game one in fairness, but they are playing still a very solid game of Dota. They're going to be able to chase down Super once again. And Mech going to get it back up. Now they might want to try and turn it around. But just look how tanky Chains is. Laguna Blade going to finish one off. Now the rest of the team got to be sent running once again. XDD is super dead. Squish that bug. See you, brother. And this game is just out of control already. I feel no influence from anyone on Rising Stars at all. They have so much reach. They have so much mobility. And they're just not getting anything out of it at all. Clockwork, Storm Spirit. Those two heroes can initiate from the freaking well, it feels, half the time. And I don't know. Just questionable. Questionable all around. DK's now saved up. Scraped together his pennies. And on his way to a BKB. Still about 1,000 gold away as he still needs the Mithril Hammer. But in the meantime, Roshan, next on the to-do list. He's down to half health already. The vision is there. They should have seen this coming. Don't know that they did, or even if they did, I mean, they're unwilling to fight 2-on-1 against an anti-mage in top lane, so don't know why they'd be willing to fight 5-on-5 in the Roche pit. Stick that Aegis on anti-mage, and Chain Stack looking great. Now Queen of Pain. Gonna be spotted out and run off by an anti-mage who was showing his war face, apparently. BKB is gonna be complete here on Zhao Tuji. Maybe that'll give him a little bit more confidence. And you know what? Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes just like, okay, now I have my BKB, and I am ready to roll. I am ready to be aggressive like a Storm Spirit should. They're way behind, but they still have the tools to turn this around. They just got to start right now, today. This minute, roughly this second. They need to start getting picks. They need to start reclaiming some map control. They've taken down 3 towers, so they're not in horrible shape in that regard. But they have such an aggressive team. A team that has so much aggressive potential. And should have no problem blowing up an anti-mage, to be honest. In most cases, that anti-mage, if he's focused properly and the skills are chained together properly, that should be a dead anti-mage if they commit themselves to it. The DK, though, is going to become a liability soon. He has to put a point into his second level of Elder Dragon form, but he is level 13, so 3 levels away from having his third level and his level 3 Elder Dragon form, and that's when DKs get scary. That free Scotty that comes with that third point, now with a BKB to add survivability. So they've let him catch up. And I think that's really what is the most surprising to me. They held down the secondary carry. They really, and not did just hold him down. He got dominated. He had a really bad time in mid. Queen of Pain did pretty well. She's got an Orchid of her own. They should have capitalized on all of that early on. Now they've let things get a bit out of hand, and they've got a much harder hill to climb. Queen of Pain is going to be picking up a BKB as her next item. Meanwhile, the rest of Chain Stack, happy to go ahead and take a free tier 2 bottom. Not even going to be challenged. More map control going in their direction. Not even going to have to risk the Aegis to do it. Manta style done on chains. Pipe going to be the order of the day on risk. He's got his Hood of Defiance on his way to the item. Blink Dagger pick up on Lena. I talked about how good of an item that is on a Rubik, and seeing it on the Lena serves the exact same purpose. I really like high mobility builds on supports like this. It's something that has really become more popular with a lot of players and a lot of teams over the last 45 to 60 days, and I think it's a trend that needs to continue and will continue just because of how valuable it really is. Having that extra bit of mobility, the ability to get on top of someone if you're a Lena, land a light strike array from a distance, blink up. Here we go. The Orchid going to be used on risk, and finally, Playing like a Storm Spirit. Able to clean risk up. That's what I want to see. Well done, Zhao Tucci. Queen of Pain, or excuse me, that's a Nyx Assassin being pursued now by Chains. Does not have vision. Just going to go for him. Guess it was probably a misnomer to say. Not a misnomer, that's the incorrect word. It was a mistake. Call it what it is, AC. You flubbed it. Don't think he was pursuing the Nyx Assassin. He just happened to be casually moving towards farm in the general direction of the Nyx Assassin. Still has that Aegis, still has a little bit of time on it. Sitting at about another 3 minutes, and I would really be surprised if they didn't take a run at mid now. Really no reason not to. Love that effect on Lina. Absolutely love that effect. So cool. And here we go. The Illuminate will connect and put a stop to the push momentarily. Storm Spirit continues to farm at top. He's got 1,300 gold. He's got a BKB, and he's going to be looking to really get the most out of his items this time around. He's keeping pace fairly admirably with the Animage. Now, granted, Animage doesn't have a Battle Fury, and it's just going to take a few cheap shots at the Keeper of the Light. But just look how tanky he is, just shrugging off tower shots like it's nothing. Storm Spirit's nowhere near this fight, and it's not going to be TPing home. And they're just going to give up a free tier 2. Storm still at top, has a TP if and when he wants to use it. Now down here at bottom, they're going to rush the tier 3. And can you blame them? Storm Spirit finally rejoins his squad. Mech going to get everyone back in fighting shape. Glyph is going to be used. Here comes the Illuminate. There's the blink away. And there's the Dragon Tail. Going to catch Super. Here comes the hook. They're going to try to re-engage. Animage doing what he can. In the meantime, 2 going to be caught from Chains. Down goes the wall, though. BKB keeping Storm Spirit up and fighting. Bouncing around the fight, doing what damage he can, but I don't think it's enough right now. XDD going to be cleaned up. Peace out. See you in the well. Chains still in good shape. Has not lost his Aegis. Buybacks aplenty coming out. And we're going to see DK finally drop, but Animage is not done. It's a double kill for Johnny in the meantime. Nyx Assassin back up off the buyback. And just so hard to kill Chains right now. He's still got an Aegis and should still have that Aegis momentarily, even after that wears off. Did he go back in? Yeah, he did. That's ballsy, Animage. He's got a Mana Void if he wants to spend it. He could do a lot of damage to Storm Spirit if he used it right now. Now Mafi brought back in the vacuum to the other side of the cogs. Great play from Risk, and here comes Animage. Another Impale. Buys enough time for them to get away. But that was a very costly fight for them. Cost them a lot of buybacks. 2, if I'm not mistaken. And Animage, able to survive with the Aegis intact. Not going to have a lot of time on it. Actually, yeah, should have just faded, actually. Yep. No, he still has it. Huh. Should be fading then. Yeah, should be fading now, actually. And right about... Actually, did it go past yet? Yeah, it looks like it did. So, anyway. Yeah, there it is. Now gone. Empty slot. Skull Basher the pickup on Animage once again. A return to old school Animage. With this purely mid-game centric build. Who needs a Battle Fury when you can go Vanguard first? Mafi on his way to a Pike. That'll help a little bit against the magic damage output. But I feel, I mean, Rising Stars, at 31 minutes into the game, this is not when Storm Spirit and Queen of Pain should just now be showing how active they are with 2 Orchid Malevolences. BKB is a safety belt item that is, it's very tempting to play passively till you get it, but you have to get the most of your skill set, and I feel like they really missed their opportunity. They missed their shot. They may try to do something here. Nope, never mind. Here in mid, Chain Stack, looking to try and close this out. Looking to put an exclamation point at the end of this. And TP reactions are coming. Manta's going to be used, and down go the Cogs, trying to buy some time. Dragon Slave from the low ground. Cogs and Illuminate certainly doing a good job of delaying this push. And here we go. Mech gets everybody's gloves back up. They're ready to fight. Down goes to tier 3. Here comes Storm. He's going to manage to grab the Rubik. Now the rest are going to come out. There's the Illuminate. Catches everyone. Great Illuminate. However, the Sonic Wave is enough, but not against BKB. Sonic Wave does good damage. But the 2 still standing are the 2 they can't afford. Laguna Blade goes off. Mafi now in trouble, being pursued out. Light Striker Ray connects. Legendary, there to help clean things up along with the 2 carries. DK, who had such a hard early game, has actually caught back up rather admirably. BKB, armlet, drums in his inventory along with some treads. There goes a set of racks. And this is probably the end. They may extend this out, but really, with one set of racks down, I don't know that they have the potential to bounce back here. And Xiaotuji runs out of gas, or damn near. Came out on him, but not a whole lot else to say or do. And poor Xiaotuji just had a rough game, man. Has not been his series. First time casting him, I'm sure he's a talented player, but twice on two very high-value heroes, he has just not been able to execute, and it has really, really hurt his team. And the desperation smoke, don't blame you, brothers. They're going to take off, start heading out. Looking for some glimmer of hope. Roche going to be back up in about 75 seconds, give or take. And in the meantime, hoping they may open a window for them to take it if they can get a pick here. Buyback status, only 2. Able to buy back the Storm and the Anti-Mage both. Arguably the 2 most important heroes for either team. Dropping a ward, they may just smoke right into Roche. Now less than 60 seconds. Yep, they're going to go ahead and drop a ward, counter ward. No wards to be counter warded. And smoke as well, out of Chain stack. Chains leading the charge here. Rising Stars are split up. And that's going to be enough to force Xiaotuji and Super both out. Illuminate lets them know, hey, we're here. Don't worry about it, bruh. Roche is coming back up in mere seconds. And actually, he could have man avoided there and knocked him out of that. A little slow to pull the trigger. And Roshan just about ready to pop back up. Hello, brother. And right on time. Chains and his squad, his stack, if you will, in great position. The gold has actually been reduced, as has the experience. And Storm is keeping pace fairly well. The fact that DK is actually in position, in range of Queen of Pain, is pretty impressive, to be honest. I think that's the most impressive story of the game, is DK's bounce back. There's the BKB. He's going to go right in. Did he get it? Did he get it? He did! He stole it! Xiaotuji making up for a lot of mistakes with a good play there. Now he's going to be pursued out, though, forced to run away. In the meantime, the fight rages back behind him. And he's still being pursued along with the Nyx Assassin. Chain's able to clean that up. So a cheeky play, and Xiaotuji swipes the Aegis out from under Chain's stack. And they're angry. It's like an 80s movie where the good guy steals something from the bad guys, and the bad guys jump on their huffies and chase him down. Chain stack, shaking their fists and stomping upon their hats, ready to take a run at the tier 3 bottom. Nyx is still down. Queen of Pain spent buyback. Tier 3 down to half health. Still no level 3 dragon form. And that's actually just a flat out mistake from Johnny. No reason. He's 16. He should have spent his points better. That is literally just a mistake. Should have had his second point in at 15 and his third at 16. And looks like they do want to pull back here. Chains continues to try to add to his inventory. Probably looking to turn that into an Abyssal, and he's not far from picking up a relic now. Looks like it's going to be an Assault Cuirass coming out on the DK. Lena has actually added a set of drums to her own inventory. Like that pickup a lot. Gives them a couple of extra drum charges whenever they decide to start chopping wood on the tier 3 as well as on the racks. But aside from that, tanks her up, helps her a bit out with mana, and here we go. Johnny going to be Scythe Device, and the follow-up, and here comes the Anti-Mage ready to turn it around. We're going to see Johnny drop. But can they get the return kills? They came in kind of half-assed there, and Legendary going to pay the price for it. In the meantime, Anti-Mage just going to town, him and Risk. Mafi locked in place, and now Minerva caught out with an Impale, but there's the Mana Void pops the Aegis. Chains is surged. Oh, wow, so much damage already. And you better run quick. Nope, Anti-Mage siphoning the gas out of his Go motor. Yes, I just said Go motor. Because that's what motors do, they go. See? He thought it was funny. That's right. Anti-Mage giving me the respect laugh. Oh, I love casting the G1 because right about now is when I start to get loopy. Here we go. Pushing up to the tier 3. And this game beginning to look like it's the conclusion's on the way. Chains doesn't afraid of anything, just letting the auto attacks bounce off of him.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And the second set of racks about to drop, and here comes Clockwork. He's got something to say about it. Hits the hook now, trying to bring Chains down, but toughed out, damage in. There's mech on both sides. Chains is gonna be able to blink away just barely. He is mana leak though, and oh, Air's able to get to him. Chains, what are you gonna do, Chains? Now the Impale gonna catch Minerva. Light Striker Ray, caught both. Laguna Blade helps clean one up. They're not done. Air looking for payback. Here comes DK. Still doesn't have level 3 Elder Dragon form. Should, but doesn't. And Johnny says, that's fine.
Radiant's bottom barracks
I can do this by myself. Who needs Anti-Mage? Anti-Mage OP, DK, best K. Second set of melee racks drops.
has fallen.
And Jaltucci wants to fight. BKBs, go, 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 go. Slap fight. And the rest of Rising Stars enough to ward them away for the moment. The lead undoubtedly in favor of Chain Stack. After that, go Motor. I can't believe I said go Motor. 10 to 25. The gold, not insurmountably large in favor of Chain Stack. The experience same. 75, 5,000 gold, 7,500 experience at this level, at this stage, I should say, 39 minutes into the game. Not the biggest deal in the world. But whenever you have an Anti-Mage who at any point, I mean, he's still Anti-Mage. He's got an Abyssal done now. I mean, what do you got to do, really? You don't have any carry potential in the late game once BKBs are out. Scythe of Ice are really their only hope. And they have really been struggling to follow up whenever they do manage to land a good hex. Up atop, Chain Stack making their way into the last blockaded lane. Gonna look to take down that third and final set of racks and punch their ticket to phase 3 of the Asia qualifiers. And what a run it's been for them. Not quite the Cinderella story that Neolish Tai had, I don't think. But close. Hell no, I take it back. Four Love's pretty big team too, and they didn't undergo quite the same levels of roster shifts that Tongfu did. One of our two Cinderellas. There's nothing hotter than two blondes going to prom. Mafi gonna be caught out and cleaned up. The Illuminate connects, but with him down already, Anti-Mage ready to go to work. Xiaotuji forced to run away. Here comes Nyx Assassin and trying to find a target. Hex on the Anti-Mage though. Now the Laguna Blade on XTD. Sonic Wave gonna catch everyone, but too little too late. The time for that damage is well come and gone. That's gonna be our GG. No doubt about it. Yep. Eric calls it.
Radiant's top
Chain
tower is
Stack.
under attack. Radiant's
A
top
Cinderella
tower has
story
fallen.
who got past the big name that was For Love. And now rolling into phase 3 after a win over Rising Stars. Led by an Aussie. Named after a chain.
Radiant's middle tower is the
Great team and a great series of Dota here today.
Radiant's middle
Hope you
tower
guys
has
enjoyed the show. 28-10. The final kill score in a 41-minute game, just a few seconds over by the time the creeps finish the job here. And I said it during the broadcast. I am loving casting these G1 qualifiers because I'm finding so many relatively unknown teams to root for. Chain Stack now very much among that number. Neolish and Tai, another Cinderella story. Rattlesnake, the new team of old veterans. So many good teams. We're going to see Neolish and Tai in action tomorrow, but for today, the two teams you need to remember. Rattlesnake, getting a win in our first series of the day, punched their ticket to phase 3. And Chain Stack, punching their ticket as well.